Karl Marx should be canceled. This is an observation many have made. He was a thoroughgoing racist. Karl Marx used the N-word. He despised Jewish people, which is a little bit ironic because he actually was Jewish. Regarding Karl Marx, racism wasn't separate or contradictory from his ideological views. Marx believed that for progress, as he defined it, to occur, some ethnic groups and nations had to be swallowed up by more powerful groups. Is anybody smelling social Darwinism? Not merely a survival of the fittest, but helping nature along.
Boy, here we go.
Marx believed there would eventually be no need for nations because the workers of the world could unite without the need for countries. But before that could happen, the backwards people of the world would need to be eliminated or join the worldwide revolution for communism. This was inevitable and scientifically proven, according to Karl Marx. There's no question Karl Marx, like that fellow with the mustache, embraced Darwin's theory, labeling it scientific to apply it to eugenics. Lazy, and like socialists of any era, Marx did not mind accepting monetary handouts from wealthy capitalists while criticizing the means by which they had acquired their wealth. Hey, who put this on here? Black Lives Matter, a Marxist organization, has received almost $2 billion in corporate contributions. I don't know how that got on there. Isn't it a bit ironic that Karl Marx wrote so often about work and yet did very little?
Communism forever.
That really is the problem with so many people who have embraced a socialist worldview. They believe, perhaps rightly motivated, wouldn't it be nice if everything were equal? But the fallacy in their thinking is we'll just tear down all of the structures, all of the current social systems because they're bad, because they were built by people who merely wanted to oppress, and everything will be just the same. No, it won't be the same. It'll be entirely different because it's an entirely different economic system that ultimately doesn't understand human nature, that for people to work really hard, put in that extra effort, go the extra mile, there needs to be some sort of reward. Is that biblical, that concept, that you work for pay? Certainly is. What about working for a reward? While this is not the primary motivator for the Christian to do good deeds, nevertheless, it is a motivator that God promises rewards to his children who are faithful and work hard for him. A capitalist system recognizes that. Communism, not so much. Karl Marx, according to Chris Talgo, was allergic to work, never had a steady job. Even as he extolled the evils of capitalist industry, no evidence he ever visited a factory at any point in his miserable life. His mother bitterly complained that she wished that her son would accumulate capital instead of just writing about it. Karl Marx, not only a racist, not only anti-capitalist, he was miserable. One can well imagine Marx fitting right in with the modern cancel culture Twitterati. He saw capitalism, it was a poison perpetrated on humanity by Jews, and he hated them for it, even though he was Jewish. Though it seems anti-Semitism came naturally to him, to read Marx's personal letters or published works is to encounter a bitter, evil-minded, concealing a hate in what he and others promoted as a noble vision of humanity. As long as it's survival of the fittest, let's help nature out. Let's get rid of those people that we deem to be bad for the flourishing of the good. And who was the good? People who agreed with him. Let us now take a look at the Prince of Preachers, Charles Spurgeon, who lived in the same town at the same time. There's no question that they knew of the other's presence, and the differences are so vast, so stark. Whilst Karl Marx was exceedingly lazy, Charles Haddon Spurgeon worked himself to death, writing thousands of sermons and articles and books, and opening up schools and orphanages. He actually worked. He didn't talk about work. He actually did work. Furthermore, did you know this about Charles Haddon Spurgeon? In today's standards, he made millions. His works were so popular, newspapers actually printed his sermons and he got paid for them. He made a fortune. Did he die with a lot of booty in the bank? No, he didn't. Why? Because he was giving it away. He was founding institutions. He was generous and lavish with his money toward people who were in need. You know, the way the Bible describes it. Socialism, according to Karl Marx, takes from those who have to distribute it to those who don't. The Bible has a word for that. It's called stealing. Charles Haddon Spurgeon believed, no. Charity, kindness toward the poor. It should come from a heart that understands that they too have been poor, spiritually bankrupt. They've been given much, and now they desire to help other people as they have been helped. Furthermore, when you think of Charles Spurgeon, perhaps you think, whoa, there was a fiery orator. There was a man who preached some fire and brimstone, and he did. But nevertheless, reviewers regularly called him happy. This is a guy who has joy down in his heart, contrasted to Karl Marx, who was downright angry and mean. And don't forget about racist. What about the Prince of Preachers? Did he have a haughty attitude toward people of different skin colors? Did he look down on people who didn't make as much as he did? From Spurgeon, I do, from my inmost soul, detest slavery. That's pretty clear. And although I commune at the Lord's table with men of all creeds, yet with a slaveholder I have no fellowship of any sort or kind. Whenever one has called upon me, I have considered it my duty to express my detestation of his wickedness, and I would as soon think of receiving a murderer into my church as a man-stealer. Spurgeon not only denounced slavery, but did you know he also spoke against socialism? That's right, Charles Spurgeon. I would not have you exchange the gold of individual Christianity for the base metal of Christian socialism. In 1891, he said, great schemes of socialism have been tried and found wanting. Let us look to regeneration by the Son of God, and we shall not look in vain. Spurgeon repudiated socialism and believed a preoccupation with seeking to address the world's problems through large-scale social and structural reforms was mostly futile. Charles Spurgeon, a hard-working, happy, biblical, not racist, anti-socialist who feared if you start to develop an affinity for a social gospel, you will end up with no gospel at all. Hey, I'm Todd. I'm going to be your Uber driver. What's your destination?
2054 Kemple Lane.
No. Your eternal destination. The liberals, they brought in Pelagianism. It's the old Sabellian heresy, denying the Trinitarian Godhead. Three persons, one God, not to the Sabellians. No. They would say that it's actually just one God. Please, somebody!